Welcome to another episode of Mentor Minute. My name is Hannah. I'm a site coordinator with Communities and Schools of Whatcom-Skagit, and today I am joined by my guest.
Hi, Hannah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So, Lisa, how long have you been with Communities and Schools?
This will be my third year.
Awesome. And where are you a site coordinator at?
I'm a site coordinator at Mount Baker Middle School in Mount Vernon.
Okay, awesome. We can kind of just get into our chat for today. One thing I'm always curious about with our site coordinators, making the choice to go back into a school as an adult, I'm always kind of curious how school was for you.
It's a great question. It was rough. Honestly, it was really rough. I hated school. I was a really quiet, nice student. I think teachers liked me, but I had a really tough time.
Yeah, school can be really challenging. I feel that for sure. Were there any trusted adults that were in your school growing up or in your life growing up?
Not many until, it's funny because somewhere around 7th grade, I was given a mentor through a program and kind of like not really sure why, but I must have been referred somehow. And so I got to meet with this mentor usually once a week or a couple times a month, and we would work on homework. And so looking back, I'm like, oh, wow. I think like someone out there really saw that I could use a trusted adult and use some extra support. So yeah, he was there and actually kind of would support me in, like, would stop by at my games when I was at high school, would check in and like see how I was doing academically even after middle school. So he was about the only trusted adult that I really had. But looking back was just a really important person for me to have back then.
Totally. Do you feel like you've taken some of those experiences and used them in your role as a trusted adult now?
Yeah, I think so. One of the things I remember is that there wasn't a whole lot of advice giving. It wasn't, telling me what to do or telling me how to change. It was really just a lot of listening and a lot of support and reinforcing that I can do things. I kind of academically, I had a tough time in school. I always felt like everyone else was smarter than me and that it took me a lot longer to catch on. So I think just the fact that he reinforced that I am smart and, that I learn differently. But those are the things that I think about when I'm working with students is really listening more than talking and being there and finding out what they need. Do you need help with something? Do you want to just vent? Do you want to find some support or get some suggestions? But yeah, I learned that from him.
Yeah, that's great. I think that, that really speaks to our role in meeting students where they're at, right? And being that trusted adult doesn't always mean like telling them what's best or what to do. Often, like rarely is that, it really is just being there and listening and caring for them.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes I have to stop myself. Like,
me too.
My adult brain is like, oh, I really want this kid to do this. This is the best choice, in my head. That's where I want to steer them. But then I have to say, like, okay, reel it back and just listen.
No, I feel that as well. So you've been with CIS for 3 years now. I am curious about what do you see as your journey to get to Communities and Schools? What was your path here?
So I was a teacher for almost 20 years for middle school and high school. I taught health. I loved teaching. I loved working with middle schoolers. For some, that sounds strange, but I think
I get it.
like the best time of life. I think it's such a transitional period and such an important time of life for kids that, and I think we discredit it often and often talk about like the negative things we see with with middle schoolers and high schoolers sometimes, but I just think it's a really, really important and fun time for kids. I wanted to take a break from the classroom, so I stepped out of the classroom, but really missed it. I just didn't want to go back to teaching a large group. I felt like I could make a bigger impact working in smaller groups, one-on-one, and just making a deeper connection with students and their families. So Communities in Schools really was a perfect fit. I could be in the schools. I can do some of that education and some of the prevention work that I love to do, and that was important when I was a health teacher. So it was a good way for me to transition into something different and still stay with the population of students that I really love to work with.
You mentioned prevention. I'm curious, what does prevention look like in your role? Like, how do you feel about prevention? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so growing up, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so it's like prevention was always telling you what not to do. And I really think prevention should be fun. I think prevention should look like fun. It should be student directed. It should be peers working together and educating each other. And so for me, I think working with communities and schools, prevention just fits because we have flexibility. We have the ability to kind of take time, where everything in school is very fast and you're always on a schedule and a bell, and sometimes things come up and you're like, wow, this really needs a little more time, or it's a project that needs to be really developed, and you don't get to do that when you're in the classroom.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of times as a health teacher, I had topics that I had to cover and that were all important, but I had such a limited amount of time to talk about prevention. So this way I can kind of figure out what are the needs of the school, what are the needs of the students, and then tailor prevention programs specifically to them, and really kind of spend more time focusing on making it fun, making it interactive, making it something where students feel like they're getting something out of it. It's not somebody just telling them what to do or what not to do. So it's an opportunity to spend more time on things that are important to them.
So in working with students, I'm curious if you feel like there is a lesson that you've learned from your students.
I think students are really good at reminding me about positive self-talk. It's funny because sometimes you hear them kind of repeat some of the things that you've been trying to encourage with them. I'll have those moments where I put myself down, or I say like, oh, I should have done this, and they will pop in and be like, no, Miss B, like, you did a great job. You did your best. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, they are listening. And that just kind of reinforces that as something I've always had a difficult time with. So it's nice to hear them picking that up and sharing that back to me. And they do a really good job of like encouraging me to take care of myself. I just had a student recently say like, take the time to finish your lunch. It's okay. Like, we can wait, we can meet in a minute, or we can just sit and hang out until you're finished your lunch. And I was like, oh, that's really nice. Like, right. They're very
kind of
good.
Seeing them modeling the boundaries and lessons that we're trying to teach them for themselves, but then seeing that reflected back can be really cool to see. And I just feel like they take in sometimes more than we realize.
Yes.
So it's always cool when that gets reflected back to us. And and I feel like too, it's a pretty universal thing that I feel like oftentimes people who find themselves in jobs like this have a harder time taking care of ourselves. Right? It's a lot of give, but that's how burnout ends up happening, right? And so it is nice when we have those little reminders, whether it's from our students or from our coworkers, to be like, hey, you're allowed to slow down. You're allowed to take care of yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's like a full circle moment too. You're like, okay, it's like the work we've been doing is making a difference in their lives. And then it's really cool. It's making a difference in my life too.
Yeah, and that those relationships are not just a one-way street, right? Mentorship, there is a give and take to it. And it's recognizing that, like, yeah, we're imparting knowledge, and also we can receive those lessons from our students as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, it can be really powerful.
Yeah.
And hilarious sometimes too.
Yes. Yes.
Which is one of the great things at working with middle schoolers, is they always keep you on your toes.
For sure.
So one thing that we talk about a lot in this role is how we got here, why we do the work that we do. But yeah, the big center of that is, what is our why? Because the why is why we do it, but it's also why we keep going in the work. And so I'm curious, what do you feel like your why is?
I think having a difficult time in school always made me want to work in some sort of career that made a difference. I feel like providing kids an opportunity to, or a space for them to be themselves is pretty rare, especially today. And so I do this work because it's fun. Like, I really do have an amazing time doing it. It's hard work. I don't want to say it's easy, but it's a lot of fun. Like, I laugh a lot. I get to do really cool things with kids. But then on the other side, I get to talk with them about some really difficult things. And I get to see them work through things with a support and with options. And it just feels really good to have been a person that is on their side. I just think if every kid had a site coordinator through elementary, middle, and high school, just have that person that you're like, okay, like, take you as you are today. And it might be a great day and you go outside and play basketball or do a craft and laugh and listen to music and have a snack. Or it might be a tough day where you're sitting there talking about something that was really hard over the weekend, or food insecurity or relationship issues, things like that. It's so different every day, but I always go home thinking I did at least one thing that was positive. So it's just a real feel good job. Feel good. I don't even feel like it is a job. And I hope I make a difference.
Yeah. Well, I definitely feel like you do. I mean, you definitely make a difference on our team. And so I know that you definitely make a difference with your students as well. And from the stories you've shared, I know they're really lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is there a story of growth that you have seen with a student that you want to highlight?
Yeah, I have a student that I've worked with for 2 years, and I will have one more year with them as an 8th grader. And this student was incredibly shy. One of the most shy students I've ever worked with. And I kind of found this student because mom was bringing the student to class the first week, all the way to their first period. And it was kind of different. Most parents weren't coming into the school with them, and I was just like, so I introduced myself to mom, and then I introduced myself to the student, and both of them were like, yeah, I think it would be nice to have some extra support for the student. And it used to be just incredibly quiet and awkward. And sometimes it was just the student would have lunch with me. I started playing some music, trying to find out what some songs that they liked, so there would be some background noise. And sometimes we'd play a game, and little by little, the conversation started, and I started seeing that student feel more comfortable coming and talking to me. It wasn't just kind of us staring at each other for a little bit. And then this year, I see that the student has a best friend, and one who they come in and have lunch, but don't necessarily talk to me. They just have lunch and play a game or talk with other students. So I see her branching out and meeting new people. She still has a tough time in situations, and still needs support sometimes when she's anxious in classrooms and new students come around. But I've just seen her grow so much in her own confidence, and her ability to share what's going on and talk with me. Like we've finally broken that barrier where, it took her a long time to just have that trust. And so it was really cool and really exciting to get to the point where I felt like I have built that space and that trust for her. So I'm excited to see what 8th grade is going to be and see like what new things she might try and new friends she's going to make. And I'm really excited to work with her again.
Yeah, that's super exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So if there are other site coordinators watching this, one thing you touched on is that while this job is super fun, it can also be challenging. Is there advice that you would give? Are there things that you do for how you balance all that we do and navigate things like burnout, empathy, fatigue, things like that?
Yes, I was never good about really taking time for myself. As a teacher, I worked a lot of weekends, a lot of nights, and I decided in this job that if I'm really going to do it well and the way it should be done, I'm going to make sure that I take time for myself. So I'm getting so much better at that, and just really focusing on my time when I'm off school grounds and I'm done with work. I focus on my friends and my family and my dog and myself, and just make sure that when I am at school, I'm really present. And I've taken care of myself so that I come in awake and energetic and just feeling like, okay, I can do this work. Yeah, because it is really tiring at sometimes, and it is kind of emotionally draining. So if you haven't done that, it's going to make the job a lot more difficult.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think it is one of those things that sometimes comes with trial and error with time of developing, like, oh, okay, all right, this is when I need to take a break. But I feel it. I think I definitely struggled as well in the beginning of this role, not burning myself out. And so it's nice that with time you just get, I think, more comfortable advocating for your needs. And I mean, I think we see that with our students as well, right? Is like,
Yes.
We're learning those lessons of self-advocacy and taking care of ourselves. And I do feel like sometimes having those conversations with students so frequently, it also helps it keep like on the top of my brain as well of like, okay, I need to practice what I preach. I need to like also do these things that I'm advising my students to do. So it's good to have those reminders.
Yeah. And communities and school staff are amazing at checking in. And everyone, I could call someone and be like, today was a really tough day, or I'm just so tired and, drained, or I'm going through a difficult situation with a student. And I feel like there's not one person on the staff that would be like, oh, no, I'm not here for you. They're always really open to talk and really encourage that. So that's kind of an awesome thing about our organization.
I agree. So one thing we talk about a lot is working on our elevator pitch, telling people about communities and schools. I am curious if there's like one thing that if you were talking to somebody who didn't really know about communities and schools, what is the one thing that you would want them to know about the work that we do?
This is the hardest part of my job, is explaining what we do in a very short amount of time, because we do so much. And I think that's what I would like people to know, is that because we tailor each each site coordinator is at a different school, and so we tailor the programs to the school and to the students' needs and the families' needs, that it's so different in every site. And we do so many things and really fill a ton of gaps in the schools and are able to, I think kind of the coolest thing is able to really build deep relationships with families and students. And so it's not just kind of surface level putting band-aids on things. We just spend a lot of time looking at what schools and families and students need. So it's so different. We do so many things.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to describe what communities and schools is because we are a lot. A lot of amazing things. It's the most rewarding and fulfilling job I've had throughout all my years of many different careers.
Yeah. That's really cool, especially like coming from a background of being in education and now kind of getting to see different sides of it. What are some of the like major differences you see having been in both of those roles, being in the classroom versus being in the position you're at now?
I think really being able to take time to sit with students and give them the time that they need. So often in the classroom, we'd be teaching about something and a student would talk about something that was going on at home or something that they were struggling with, and the bell rings and you've got another class of 25 students coming in. There's not a whole lot of time. There's no study halls. So it's like, okay, when am I going to find the time to be able to connect with that student and really talk about it? So that's, I would say the biggest difference is we're not on a bell schedule. We can have a little bit more flexibility to really spend time with students. And then also like do the fun things, do the things that really get them to come to school and do the things that motivate them to want to be there.
It's cool to have both of those experiences as well, and I imagine it is helpful in also like having a lot of empathy for teachers in the classroom, right? You know, they're often put in a really challenging position of having to do a lot as well, and so really strengthening that partnership between CIS and the school.
Yes, I had a school staff member come up to me and say, "How can I be a Miss B? Like, I love your job, and how can I do that job?" I was like, that's like one of the biggest compliments I've ever had. I was like, that's really cool that she was able to see the benefit of our being partnered with the school and our role in the school and seeing how we make a difference. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, and it's nice when we get that feedback from the adults in the building. You know, we often hear from our students, you know, that they like meeting with us and have fun and all these things, but the other adults often don't see like the intricacies of what we do, and so it is nice when we get that feedback of like, hey, I see you and I appreciate you and you're doing great things. So that's awesome. I think that speaks volumes to the relationships you have at your school. So that's great. What is something that's bringing you joy these days?
Camping and experiencing. I'm from the East Coast, so trying to experience as much West Coast and national parks, state parks. Everything is just, the country is so beautiful. Like there's so many things that I hadn't seen. So we just went to Glacier National Park and spent some time camping there and seeing the wildlife and crazy mountains. It's just really beautiful. So really enjoying that.
Love that. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining me today here at Mentor Minute. I really loved chatting with you. Thanks again for joining me, and thank you all for watching. And yeah, we'll see you next time.